In the mid-1980s, Karen Schultz took a simple photo of her triplets when they were just 1 year old. She didn't know it then, but that photo was the start of something big. Over the years, she made it a habit to capture their growth with more photos. Each picture marked their journey from babies to toddlers, then to teenagers, and finally to adults. This collection of photos turned into a unique record of their lives. But the photos ended up telling a bigger story than Karen ever imagined. Karen Schultz was a proud mother of 3 boys, her triplets, who were the center of her world. Little did she know, a simple photo would take her on a journey she could never have imagined. Back in the mid-1980s, Karen captured a simple picture of her triplets at 1 year old, not realizing the impact it would eventually have. Unbeknownst to her, this single image would evolve into a cherished collection, documenting her son's development over the years. These pictures became very important to them, showing how family love lasts a lifetime. Karen took another photo of the triplets. This time, she put them in matching outfits and snapped a picture of their happy faces. Without knowing then, she started a yearly tradition. Each birthday photo would become a special way to see how much they grew and stayed close as brothers. In 1986, the boys turned 2. If they were unaware of what was going on the previous year when the first photo was taken, now they knew exactly what was going on and were happily willing to participate. They posed for the camera and showed off their captivating blonde curls and magnetic eyes while holding the sign their mother made. They were the cutest 2-year-olds around. As the years went by, the triplets got bigger, and so did Karen's love for them. Karen's photo collection became a family treasure, filled with laughter and everyday adventures. She kept up with the birthday photo every year, showing how the boys changed and the big moments in their lives, like when they started walking or went to school for the first time. The change of location didn't stand in the way of another adorable photo. The sign was prepared, the magnificent 3 sat up high, and the rest is history. There were still more unpleasant surprises down the line, but for now, the boys were focused on their upcoming 5th birthdays. When the triplets hit their teens, Karen took photos of their wild times, their high school graduations, and their first big heartaches. Even when things got tough, she loved every bit of it, seeing her boys turn into young men. She kept taking those yearly photos, showing not just how they looked, but how they were changing on the inside too. When the boys' 6th birthday arrived, they were all happy once again to take a photo. They were leading a normal life as expected from 6-year-olds. School, friends, and laughter filled their days. Karen was doing fine. The matching tops were bought, the sign was prepared, and the smiles were put back on their faces. The days of Karen deciding what to wear and when to wear it were drifting away. It was on the triplets' 7th birthday they dared to do something different. This was the first year their individuality shone. Dennis, Peter, and Mark wore the same overalls, but underneath, they each had a different sweater. They were still one unit, however. The frames started to crack. Not only was the photo and sign a tradition, Karin and the boys decided to turn the different sweater theme into a tradition too. On their 8th birthday, they all had polka dots sweaters on, each in a different color. The boys' 8th birthday might have brought with it happiness and joy. However, a tragedy was coming along the way. This tradition was a way to show the never-ending love and support their mom had always given them. Every year, no matter what, this photo brought them back to their roots. It wasn't just a picture, it was a symbol of a mother's love that never changes, even as everything else does. They were more than brothers, they were best friends, secret keepers, and each other's defenders. The yearly photo was more than just a tradition, and it was a sign of their strong bond. Their connection remained constant, always strong, always together, weaving a unique of brotherhood that was visible in every picture. Karen's yearly photo tradition did more than just track her triplets' growth. It built a legacy that her family would treasure for generations to come. Every photo stood as a testament to a mother's love, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment. This legacy of love and perseverance, captured in Karen's photographic journey, promised to inspire and guide her family for many years to come, turning simple moments into timeless treasures.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Life had its obstacles, and the 12th birthday celebrations were full of them too. These were surprises of the bad kind. Karen was heartbroken when she learned Peter was diagnosed with epilepsy, and while Dennis and Mark were preparing to start high school, Peter was preparing for daily visits to the doctor's office. But even so, the boys wouldn't let random visits to the hospital or an expected Caesarus get them down. Peter's new medical condition had its consequences. His parents decided it would be best for him to stay back in elementary school while Dennis and Mark moved on to big boy school. This was just another note in the book, emphasizing that no matter how similar the three looked, behind every face was a story full of individual needs, individual ambitions, and individual dreams. 14 years have flown by, and the three boys were turning into charming young men. Peter joined his brothers in high school and paved his way to being one of the best students in class. The three brothers were back together, and preparations for the 14th photo took place. A sign was prepared, there was no need for matching tops, and another year went by. When the triplets turned 15, the 1990s roared in too. They brought with them Pokemon, stuffed crust pizza, and bead necklaces. For the traditional photo, the era's symbols had to be presented. The boys were doing well at school, keeping top of the class, and of course, they knew what's what when it came to fashion. You can't beat the beads. Remember independence? Well, for their 16th birthday celebrations, their each-for-your-own hairstyle kicked in. Whether it was pitch-black dye or Irish red locks, the boys were experimenting with life to the extreme. For their 16th traditional photo, Dennis decided to stay naturally blonde, while the other two had some dyeing experiments. By the time they turned 17, the boys parted with their colored hair and mutually decided to go back to their natural looks. This birthday was the one that brought back the similarity between the three. They were a stunning trio, and they looked forward to a bright future. The sign was prepared, the flash was set, and the traditional photo was taken. It was hard to imagine that 18 years had gone by, and that they took their traditional photo without skipping even 1 year. They graduated from high school and decided on the next steps they wanted to take in life. Dennis wanted to become a sports masseuse and Mark a teacher. For Peter, the world of architecture was the future, and he decided to turn that way. Three talented boys were about to discover the world. By the time Peter, Mark, and Dennis turned 19, it was believed that Peter had seen the worst of his epilepsy seizure. Unfortunately, this was not the case. As they were preparing to take their traditional photo, Peter experienced one of the worst seizures in his life. This would leave an impact for years to come. They were there for one another through thick and thin, and nothing was about to change. 19 photos were taken by now, and there were many more to come. One of the most significant impacts of Peter's condition on him was that he felt uncomfortable being on his own. He was afraid of being alone in case something happened. As he was planning to study in Berlin, Germany, Dennis and Mark saw no other option than to join their brother on his European adventure. The three moved to the German capital, not forgetting to preserve their birthday tradition, and took their 20th photo in Deutschland. One of the most noticeable things that grew as the triplets entered their 20s was their hair. With their 21st birthday just around the corner, the boys were living life and enjoying the moment. They took their traditional photo unaware of what was about to happen. They couldn't control everything, and not all was in their hands. They were 22 and still living in Berlin. Life was good. If not for the fact that Peter slightly trimmed his hair, the three still looked very much alike. How long could this go on? For how many years could the boys keep on with this birthday photo tradition? How many photos were down the line? No one could say. By 2008, Dennis, Peter, and Mark had all completed their studies. It was time for them to go back home. At first, they believed that they were returning to the same home they left. However, the table was about to turn. Karen was about to discover something that would yet again find them unprepared. This would now change their lives once more. Karen was diagnosed with a severe medical condition. The boys were celebrating their 24th birthday and at the same time taking care of their beloved mother. Peter's new girlfriend, Susan, helped the boys at these difficult moments. With all that was going on, they did not neglect their tradition, and another photo was taken. 3 24-year-old men in 3 different tops and 1 long-lasting sign. What a beautiful tradition this was. At 25, the triplets were still bonded together, all living with their mother under the same roof. By now, Peter's girlfriend, Susan, permanently moved in. The boys each had a different hairstyle, so it was easy to tell them apart. One had it relatively short, while the other 2 were competing in the Dennis the Menace's Lookalike contest. Mark was in the lead. The traditional photo was taken, and a quarter of a century had passed. Even at 26, the boys kept the tradition their mother started and took the birthday photo with pride. They wouldn't allow even one piece of long hair to get in their way. They were about to embrace the most beautiful years of their lives, no matter how many obstacles were waiting ahead. With eye-blinding smiles, Peter, Dennis, and Mark posed to the camera and documented another photo to join the rest. The next year was the year that changed everything for the 3 brothers and their loved ones. When the triplets turned 27, it was the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, one like they never knew before. They sadly had to part with the most precious person in their lives. Their mother, Karen, passed away after losing her battle with cancer. They were devastated, however. This would only bring them closer. The big house they grew up in was left to them, and they decided to stick together and carry on living there. It was spacious. None of the 3 had any plans that could affect the others, and it held so many memories. It was too early for them to say goodbye. The 27th photo was taken. For their 28th celebration, they couldn't have asked for a greater gift, especially not Peter. Susan was pregnant, and nothing made them happier than the fact that their baby would grow up in the same house Peter did. In 2013, the triplets turned 28, and baby Noah was born. They were now new parents, 2 new uncles, and a brand new photo to document the occasion. There are some things in life that never change, and the traditional photo was one of them. The 3 brothers, Peter, Mark, and Dennis, were leading hectic lifestyles, with all 3 having full-time jobs and Peter being a new dad. With all that was going on, they still spared 2 minutes every year, not only for the sake, but in memory of their mother. This year was no exception. At 29, with their 30s just around the corner, another photo was added to the archive. It's not every day one turns 30, and when there are 3 involved, this definitely called for a party. When the boys turned 30, they had the party of a lifetime. They celebrated their birthday, and they celebrated Peter and Susan getting married too. Peter was officially tying the knot with the love of his life, and Dennis and Mark were tying the sign for the traditional birthday photo. It was now 31 years of the 3 brothers getting together every year and creating a memory that would last a lifetime. They still all lived together, still worked, provided, and helped in bringing up their son and nephew. 31 years have flown by. They have known their ups and downs. They have seen how heartbreaking life can sometimes be. And they have enjoyed the most beautiful things it can also bring with it. When their 32nd celebration came, they still had the initial sign their mother made for them all those years ago. Except for the age label, it was the same old, simple sign that meant so much to them. The boys, now men, were taller. The smiles were bigger, and the end of this tradition was peeking from behind the camera's lens. This beautiful tradition was about to drift off and become just a memory. The double 3 birthday arrived. Amazingly, they still all looked not a day over 20. Taking birthday photos was becoming nothing special, and the triplets were beginning to show signs of it. They were not as interested as before, and even though it only took a moment or 2 to do, they felt the end was near. By the time the 3 were 34, the difference between the 3 was significant. The 1/3 in the middle had his unique ways, while the two on both sides resembled tremendously. These three were adored by all, as such a relationship between brothers is only something to admire. The 36 photo was the last one. After more than 3 decades, the three brothers felt that the peak had passed and that the 36 photos they had wrapped into the best memory box they could have ever made. They dressed in their biggest smiles, put on their unmatching tops, and said, "Cheese." The last traditional photo was created, and this chapter of their lives was sealed. Fast forward to 2020. With modern technology and a lot of ambition, the famous three gathered once more. They didn't have to strike a pose in front of the camera and didn't have to worry if they had the same top on or not. A video on YouTube features this amazing project and reflects how simple things, like photographs, can come together to create a masterpiece in motion.